Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Dham Rishabad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Stotra Shadashri Srimad Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya So today we continue to read from Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th Canto, Chapter 19. King Ayati achieves liberation. Text 29. Please repeat. Namaha Tubhyam Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedase Sarvabhutadivasaya Shantaya Brihate Namaha Namastubhyam Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedase Sarvabhutadivasaya Santaya Prahate Namaha Namastubhyam Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedase Sarvabhutadivasaya Shantaya Prahate Namaha Namastubhyam Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedase Sarvabhutadivasaya Shantaya Prahate Namaha. Please chant. Namastubhyam Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedase Sarvabhutadivasaya Shantaya Prahate Namaha. Namastubhyam Paravate Vasudevaya Sarvabhutadivasaya Shantaya Prahate Namaha. Namastubhyam Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedase Sarvabhutadivasaya Shantaya Prahate Namaha. Namastubhyam Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedase Sarvabhutadivasaya Shantaya Prahate Namaha. Mataji. Namastubhyam Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedase Sarvabhutadivasaya Shantaya Prahate Namaha. Namastubhyam Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedase Sarvabhutadivasaya Shantaya Prahate Namaha. Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances to Bhyam unto you, Bhagavate, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudevaya, Lord Vasudeva, Vedase, the Creator of everything, Sarvabhutadivasaya, present everywhere, within the heart of every living entity, and within the atom also. Shantaya, peaceful, as if completely inactive. Brihate, the greatest of all. Namaha, I offer my respectful obeisances. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Translation. O Lord Vasudeva, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, you are the creator of the entire cosmic manifestation. You live as the super soul in everyone's heart and are smaller than the smallest, yet you are greater than the greatest and are all pervading. You appear completely silent, having nothing to do, but this is due to your all pervading nature and your fullness in all opulences. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Purport. How Devayani becomes self-realized by the grace of her great husband, Maharaja Ayati, is described here. Describing such a realization is another way of performing the bhakti process. Śravaṇam Kirtanam Vishno Smaranam pada sevanam archanam bandhanam dasyam sakyam atmanivedanam. Hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship, offering praise to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto him. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. Śravaṇam, Kirtanam, hearing and chanting are especially important. By hearing from her husband about the greatness of Lord Vasudeva, Devayani certainly became convinced and surrendered herself unto the lotus feet of the Lord. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This is knowledge. Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Ma Prapatyate. Surrender to Vasudeva is the result of hearing about him for many, many births. As soon as one surrenders unto Vasudeva, one is liberated immediately because of her association with her great husband, Maharaja Ayati. Devayani became purified, adopted the means of bhakti yoga, and thus became liberated. Thus, in the Bhaktivedanta purpose of the 9th canto, 19th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled King Ayati Achieves Liberation. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Shamate Bhakti Vikasa Swami Iti Namane. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Shamate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shranyavadi Parashatya Deshatharane. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namastubhyam Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedase Sarva Bhutadivasaya Shantaya Brihate Namaha. Again, translation. O Lord Vasudeva, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, you are the creator of the entire cosmic manifestation. You live as the super soul in everyone's heart and are smaller than the smallest, yet you are greater than the greatest and all pervading. You appear completely silent, having nothing to do, but this is due to your all-pervading nature and your fullness in opulence. I therefore offer my respectful obeisance unto you. Hare Krishna. So now the conclusion of this Ayati, Devayani, Sharmishta, all these different personalities involved in this incident that we heard from Ayati, the story of he goat, she goat, and ultimately first King Ayati realized that for thousands of years sense enjoyment is not really satisfying, and then he realized his constitutional position as a servant of the Lord, and then he completely surrendered to the Lord, and also he's trying to convince his wife as a good husband, and as Prabhupada says in this purport twice, great husband. So if someone wants to be really great husband, they should surrender to the Lord. Then it's not that great husband who is providing all the material facilities. That's not the great husband. Great husband means to show the path to get out of this material life. So King Ayati, therefore, is a great husband, and he not only he realized, and he also helped his wife to realize the Supreme Lord. Now at the end, this beautiful prayer here, we hear from them. So, and here in the purport, first line, Prabhupada also saying another very interesting point, that describing such a realization is another way of performing bhakti process, performing the bhakti process. So this is a wonderful process that right from the Lord, this himself starts, he started to speak about himself, like in Bhagavad Gita, Lord himself speaks in many places about his own glories and his own opulence and many things. So then Lord Brahma hears, and then his devotees like Arjuna, they hear. Then from them, different devotees, they hear. And then how they heard, that we hear from another devotees. Like, for example, here also, we know how Prahlad heard from Narada, Srimad Bhagavatam. And then also we hear that Prahlad also was preaching to his classmates, to his friends. And similarly, there are many, many different devotees, in Bhagavatam itself we see that Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, Shravan Kirtanam is happening. And simultaneously also we see that in Naimisharanya there's Shaunaka Rishi and others, they are hearing also Bhagavatam, and also between Maitreya and Vidura, also this Bhagavatam is hearing. So this hearing the glories of the Lord is everlasting, is go on, this process is again repeated. And hearing these narrations, how Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadeva Goswami was engaged in Shravan Kirtanam, how other devotees are engaged, this also is a bhakti process. Is the process which is practiced by some devotees. By hearing that, also becomes a process of bhakti. So it's wonderful, because it's a transcendental, is a keep on increasing. Like we hear from Prabhupada's disciples, most of us here, never met Prabhupada. And we hear from Prabhupada's disciples how Prabhupada was wonderful, and how he was narrating all different pastimes of the Lord, and he explained the glories of the holy name and all different things. And when we explain to some people also, they, get benefited. So there's no limit. You can go on, different level. You can go on narrating or explain this glories of the Lord, and it still remains complete, is perfect. That's the system of parampara. Therefore, Krishna himself is recommends evam parampara praptam imam rajarashiva. So this system is, nothing, as Prabhupada says, nothing is extracted, nothing is added to it. Just as you receive, you just give it to others. Then everyone gets benefited. So this śravaṇam is very much glorified here. And so just maybe before start discussing this Prabhupada purport, this wonderful purport by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur for this verse. And in this section, maybe 2 weeks ago, I think, there was a question raised, I think, by Sri Rupa Prabhu that how the King Yayati for many years, for 1,000 years, he engaged in sense gratification. Now suddenly he just surrendered like that. How is that possible? You remember that one, I think your class was there. Yeah, you gave class. Sri Rupa Prabhu asked question. So here, I just read the purport. Please listen attentively. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives one wonderful answer for that, and also more other very interesting informations. So this is by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. But he raised the question first. By what practice does one absorb the mind in Krishna? He continues, one does this by offering respects, by meditation and chanting. When Ambarisha was the emperor of the 7 islands, it is understood that Yayati was the ruler of Bharatavarsha. Now he is explaining this. We are aware of that there are 2 dynasties, Sun dynasty and Moon dynasty, Surya Vamsa and Chandra Vamsa, for particularly the Kshatriyas. They come in these 2 dynasties. So, and how they rule this world, and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is explaining. And what is the link, between Yayati and Ambarisha, why he is mentioning here. So he says, Ambarisha is the 8th in the line of Brahma, Marichi, Kashyapa, Vivaswan, Shradadeva, Nagava, Nabaga, and Ambarisha. So means in Sun dynasty, in Surya Vamsa, Ambarisha was the 8th person. And similarly, Yayati also in the Chandra Vamsa is the 8th person. Brahma, Atri, Chandra, Buddha, Pururava, Ayu, Nahusa, and Yayati. So how he links? Because of the influence of Ambarisha, Yayati, who was absorbed in material enjoyment, developed great devotion. Because of Yayati's association, Devyani also developed great devotion. When the dynasty from the sun and moon begins simultaneously, and when the emperors of the Sun dynasty ruled the 7 islands, the kings of the Moon dynasty ruled the Bharatavarsha. And when the members of the Moon dynasty becomes emperors of the 7 islands, then the members of the Sun dynasty becomes the kings of Bharatavarsha. This is how the sovereignty of the dynasties of the Sun and Moon operate. So it's very interesting to hear how these 2 dynasties exchange the ruling of the world. So, and here, we're back to Srila Prabhupada's purport. In the translation itself, one point that is given, the smallest and smaller than the smallest and greater than the greatest. Prabhupada very often quotes this, Anor Aniyan, Mahato Mahiyan. So he is as a Paramatma even in the atom, the smallest. So even within that, the Lord is there. So, and Mahato Mahiyan, and we know Lord is showing the Vishwarupa, the great form, and so many ways. And also, here is śravaṇam. All 9 processes are mentioned. From Bhagavatam, this famous verse is quoted. And especially, Prabhupada emphasized that śravaṇam is more important. So, śravaṇam means not just anything to listen, any Gramya Katha. Śravaṇam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smarana Sevanam. So, Vishnu, about Lord Krishna, hearing about Lord Krishna's holy name and his pastimes, his form and his qualities and his associates, all these different things are is called śravaṇam. So, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is explained, the word śravana refers to giving oral reception to the holy name and descriptions of the Lord's form, qualities, entourage, and pastimes as explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and similar authorized scriptures. It's very important. Not just anybody can speak anything about Krishna. It should be from authorized scriptures. Guru, Sadhu, Sastra. This is how you cross-check whether it's authorized or not. So, hearing is very important because that is, as Prabhupada mentioned here, that is in the beginning of devotional service. Anything you want to know, you have to hear. Even for chanting, even though sometimes devotees know, chanting is, Kirtanam is the Yuga Dharma, that is the process for this Yuga. But how you come to know that? You hear from devotees about the glories of the Kirtanam. First you hear, then you start chant. It's not that first you start, chant and dance Kirtanam. So, śravaṇam is very important. And we see practically, Srila Prabhupada in the beginning, how he started this movement just by, chanting the holy name and giving opportunity for the audience, for the public, to hear the holy name. And he gave lectures. And you can see then in the 65, 66, at least from 66, all the beginning days lectures, nothing compromised. The Prabhupada did not think these are very new people in America, what they know anything about Krishna. Let me do some preaching, so slowly introduce, let me do some yoga, this, that, nothing. Prabhupada immediately just banging, Krishna is Supreme Lord and we are all eternal servant of Him, and our constitutional position just, surrender to Him, and that's only way to get out of this material world. And this material world is full of suffering, janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi, dukkha, dosha. Just right from the beginning. It's a pure message from as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, from Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and similar scripture, he just quotes from beginning. He did not think, these people, they won't know anything about Sanskrit, they won't understand the sloka. No, Prabhupada did not think. Today, many places we can see the devotees are becoming completely mental. They have so many different things. They don't want to use Sanskrit shloka. They don't want to use, so many things which is, authorized things. They want to go around the bushes, preach in different way, tell some story from from Karmi's book and, try to impress them. Not at all. Not necessary. Śravaṇam means very clearly here, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, hearing from the authorized scriptures from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. That will purify the heart. Especially Krishna says, hear from me, tashrinu, maya sakta manapata, yogam yunjan madashraya, asamshayam samagrama, yata jnasha shitta shrinu. Shrinu, hear from me. Then completely you will be free from all the doubts. And you can know me fully by hearing from me. That's what Krishna says. Of course, also he gives the how to hear. Asakta mana, maya asakta mana part. So with the attached, mind attached, should be attached to Krishna. And also he says, madashraya, take shelter of Krishna. In Krishna conscious, if we hear from Krishna, then we can understand. Because our goal of life to understand Krishna, that only will liberate from this material bondage. So, therefore, in Bhagavatam especially, this śravaṇam also is very much stressed. And famous verse, we all know that Shrinvatan Sakata Krishna Punya Śravana Kirtana. From this verse, next few verses, very beautifully explained. And Prabhupada quotes in this 7.1 Tatshrenu and that purport. So, by hearing Krishna's glories, by hearing about Krishna is the most righteous activity, the Punya Śravana Kirtana. Why? Because Krishna is present as a super soul in our heart, and he is the best friend. Vidunoti Sugrat Satam. He is the best friend. He is trying to help us to get out of this material world. And Sugrat, this particular word, Prabhupada explains it in one of the Bhagavad Gita lecture in the 529, where Prabhupada, Krishna used same word, Sugradam Sarva Bhutanam. So in one of that lecture, Prabhupada explained there are different words are there to address for the how you say for friend in Sanskrit. That like to say friend, there is a bandhu, one word is there, and there mitra, another word is there. And Prabhupada explained all of these different words. The Sugrit is specifically Krishna used because the best well-wisher. Srila Prabhupada explains also in another lecture that Sugrit, like a father is a real well-wisher of the son. He will not think, oh, my son, let him suffer. No. By any means, he will try to help him and, come back to even if his son is his own, goes away from father and do so many nonsense things. But father will always try to get back him and, keep with him, and he will take care of his good. So, the bandhu or mitra is differently. Prabhupada explained like mitra means he makes a friendship with some motivation. It's not really, Sugrat, the well-wisher. When some problem comes, he may just go away. He will say, when some problem, some difficulty comes, many people, they express during this corona 2 years, I was listening one speech by somebody, and I heard that there was a very close friends for years, and then when difficulty comes and one of the friend lost the job, and then he was financially very difficult position, and then he asked his friend to help something. Then friend switch off his phone for 2-3 weeks, and he never able to reach him. And that's not real well-wishing friend. Of course, it is for material. Um, so there are different, like Bandhu also Prabhupada explained, there are social friends. They are, just for namesake, you can say, yeah, he is my friend. He knows me, but not really. Yeah. In all the circumstances, he will be there. No, Krishna is in every circumstance. In another lecture, Prabhupada says, even if you are in the worm in the stool, even if you are in the body of a pig, even if you are in the body of insect, anywhere you go, Krishna is there always. Krishna is guiding you. That is called Sugrat. He is the real well-wisher. So then what happens by hearing about such a great personality, the Supreme Lord, and it purifies our heart. Nasta prayesha badreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. Nityam bhagavata, regularly. Every day we are hearing Bhagavatam. Prabhupada has given us this process. For what? To purify our heart. Bhagavad Uttama Shloke Bhaktiri Bhavati Nasti. From whom? From pure devotee we should hear. Not just from anybody. So it's very much also important point that by hearing from the pure devotees like Prabhupada regularly, and we can, develop devotion to Krishna, we can get the transcendental knowledge. And if we go on hearing more and more from Bhagavatam, from Prabhupada, and like his sincere followers, and we become fixed in devotional service. And we see practically that whoever is really sincere in practicing devotional service, they always like to hear Prabhupada's lectures. They always like to read Prabhupada's books. If one is not interested to hear or read Prabhupada's books, you don't see him as a sincere devotee. You cannot be. You may hear so many lectures. There are, especially nowadays, internet, there are so many hundreds and thousands of lectures every day published by different devotees. There are so many seminars, so many different courses, online courses, this, that, so many things is going on. But if you're not interested to listen or read Prabhupada's books, and even if you hear so many other things from others, that will not really inspire you, that will not really purify you. And practically we see that all the sincere devotees, they're always interested to. Even though they hear from others also, it's not that they don't listen to others. That also should not be mistaken, that, when we, emphasize this, we have to hear Bhagavatam lectures from Prabhupada. One time I remember when we had this Bhakti Shastra course, we insisted to listen because many of them were not practicing that. And then one day, one devotee, little upset, what is this? You are all the time pushing that, Prabhupada. Then why you are speaking? I'm speaking because Prabhupada is telling to hear him. That's to tell that I am speaking. Otherwise, what I am speaking? I am not speaking anything different from Krishna. Prabhupada himself, very humbly, he says, I may not be perfect, but I am giving Krishna's words as Krishna spoke. So is becomes a perfect message to you. So doesn't mean now, hearing from pure devotee that then all other devotee you just ignore them and, you don't, listen. Not like that. But still, we have to, he is our Acharya. Srila Prabhupada has a very, specific role in ISKCON. He is forever, even after 10 generations, 100 generations, whoever comes, they all should accept, Srila Prabhupada is Acharya and he is Shiksha Guru for all. And we have to listen, we have to read his books. Then only we will understand whether we are going in proper line or not. That is proper hearing. Not that, so many lectures you hear, so many stories you hear, and then you miss the point. And practically we see there are many places happening that. They don't read proper books. Some temples, they don't give proper books. They say this is too heavy for new people. Better give some other books. And what book they give? They give their books, which they published. They think they are better Acharya than Prabhupada. So this is very sad. This is what's happening in our movement. So, yeah. They think that we are Ritviks and no, we don't want to. No, that's what I said before. We also hear our Guru, we also hear from other devotees. Daily we hear Bhagavatam, but it should be in the line of Prabhupada. So unless you hear from Prabhupada, then how you will know whether you are following Prabhupada or not? Therefore, many devotees, they don't understand it. They ask so many questions which are completely like neophyte after so many years. Like after 20 years, when Mataji worshipping Radha Krishna deity in the home, after 20 years, she's asking, "Oh, Prabhu, you are again repeating that only Brahmin initiated devotee should worship the deity. But I heard from another sannyasi, another devotee, another senior devotee. He allowed me, I asked permission before." You see? Because you don't give importance to Prabhupada lectures and his books, and you hear so many others, and you don't know what Prabhupada's standard is. For example, this one thing I am saying. There are so many other things about chanting, about reading, about offering. So many misconceptions devotees they have. Why? Because they always hear. It's not that they themselves speculate, but they hear from the people who speculate, who don't follow Prabhupada. So that kind of hearing is not really stressed. Hearing means is the people who follow the pure devotional service. So, of course, also not hearing from the Mayavadis, non-devotees, this is very important. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada so many times he quotes this, what is that? Mayavada Bhashya, Sunile, Sarvanasha. Sarvanasa is everything will be diminished if we hear from Mayavadis. Now there are some devotees, they are mingling with Mayavadis. They say that we will slowly preach to them. And after some time, you see how they influenced by Mayavadis. And then they go without tilak, and they go, eat with them, and they go, listen to them. All the Mayavada. Then after some time, devotees become Mayavadis instead of, turning them as a devotee. So it's very risky thing. It's not that we should not preach, but whatever is prohibited by our acharyas, that we should not do. Acharya says, you don't eat with Mayavadis. You don't listen them. You make them to listen. You remember that incident in Japan. Prabhupada came. There was an Indian community, the Hindu community, organized a program. Few devotees were there. It was in the beginning for ISKCON there. And Prabhupada came there, and there was a program, all Hindu community gathered there. And then, and that Hindu community people also invited from India another Mayavada sannyasi. And then, in the same stage, both of them have to speak. So Prabhupada came and he immediately sat on the Vyasasana. And Prabhupada spoke. He gave a lecture. And then the Mayavada sannyasi is supposed to sit on the Vyasasana and he is supposed to speak. Prabhupada doesn't want to give a Vyasasana. He doesn't want to move. He is just sitting. Then they brought another chair and they make this sannyasi to sit, and he spoke. First 5 minutes, Prabhupada was just quiet. He didn't say anything. After 5 minutes, Prabhupada looked at his disciples. He said, start kirtan. Because the sannyasi was speaking to the Indian community in Hindi. So all Prabhupada's disciples could not understand what this sannyasi is speaking because they didn't know Hindi. And Prabhupada, the only person who could understand what this Mayavadi, other than the local people there. So Prabhupada, after 5 minutes, while the sannyasi is still speaking, Prabhupada said, start kirtan. And immediately devotees understood something is wrong. So they took mridanga, karatal, and they banged heavily and did heavy kirtan. And many people left in the program. They were not happy the way Prabhupada, dealt that. But what is the point? Later, after the program, everything over, devotees while coming back to their place, they asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, why did you allow first 5 minutes? Because first 5 minutes he did not speak any Mayavad. After 5 minutes he started to speak Mayavad, then I asked you to do kirtan. So Prabhupada did not give, any importance to these people. And moreover, the Mayavadis was hearing what Prabhupada spoke. So several incidents like that is there in Prabhupada's time. He only make them to listen from Prabhupada, not that Prabhupada was listening them. Many times devotees bring different religious leaders and Prabhupada just formally first few minutes, how are you, what are you doing, this, that, some formal talk will be there. Then after that, just Prabhupada will speak. Even if he listened, then he just used those points, whatever they spoke, to completely defeat them. Make them to understand that they are wrong, they are not right. So this is how devotees should, follow. Shravan Kirtan means should be Krishna, not anything else. But Mayavadis, they may speak about Krishna, but what they think who is Krishna, that is completely different than what we think what is Krishna. When they say Bhagavad Gita, they think this is some historical person spoken 5,000 years ago. They don't think Krishna is a Supreme Personality of God. Even if they accept, but they will also say, I'm also Krishna, I'm also Supreme Personality of God. You see, there are so many different ideas they have. So therefore, we don't listen them. We listen from pure devotees. So, anyway, this hearing is the beginning of devotional service, as Prabhupada says in the purport in Bhagavatam. So it is very essential also. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu given this process, Kirtana, so people can hear the holy name. By hearing the holy name, they can purify their heart. Chaita Darpana Marjanam, Bhava Mahadavak Nirvapan. So the heart, when is cleansed, then they can realize from Nama, then Rupa, the form of the Lord is revealed. That Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is Sachidananda Vigraha. He is not like our form. His form is not material. Is Sachit Ananda. So when you understand the form of the Lord, when you realize, then you can realize also His qualities, His associates, and so many other things. About anything related to the Lord, you can understand. This is how, step by step, by hearing, we can attain the perfection. Means to know fully in our capacity about the Lord. Anything about the Lord. So, when we are chanting the holy name or hearing or glorifying the form, qualities of paraphernalias about the Supreme Lord, from the pure devotee about the Lord, and then that is very pleasing to our heart and it purifies. So, especially from Bhagavatam, specifically we all know that how Bhagavatam appeared, that Vyasadeva, after writing so many, all the Puranas and the different scriptures, even Vedanta Sutra, he compiled, and still he was not happy. Why? Because Narada explained that you have to give literature which is completely pure, only describing about the pure devotional service. Especially Krishna's pastime should be given. That is most beneficial for all the conditioned souls. So therefore, hearing Bhagavatam is very important. So Prabhupada given us this process every day to listen to Bhagavatam. And there are so many wonderful, every day we hear so many wonderful points and leelas and different philosophical discussion is there and so many things. So one may say, hearing can be also different form of the Lord. Yes, it also is recommended. Like Ramadi Murtishe Kala, Yamenadishan Brahma Samhita say that from Krishna, Balaram, and different expansion comes. All are different form of the Lord. You can, according to your attraction, like somebody may worship the Lord Nrsimha, somebody may worship Lord Ram, and different form of the Lord. That's not a problem. But still, as followers of Gaudiya Vaishnava, followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we also understand, because Krishna is the ultimate form of the Lord. Krishna is Su Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the Swayam Bhagavan. From him, all other forms are coming. So the best to hear about Lord Krishna's name, form, pastimes, and is the best process. Especially the devotees who realize the Nama Rupa Guna Lila of Krishna, hearing from them is the best. Especially like Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami, he is completely self-realized soul. And now Bhagavatam becomes more uh, um, transcendental. So this is our understanding about hearing, the hearing from the devotees who follow the pure devotional service, who follow the parampara, not from just any uh, Sagajias or Mayavadis or even so-called devotees in the name of devotion. They don't follow uh, the regulative principles, or if they don't follow really the process, not from them, because unless if someone is following, unless if someone is serious, uh, and we will not become serious by hearing from them. So better use our time, energy, opportunity to hear from Prabhupada and his sincere followers, especially from Prabhupada. It's very important. And okay, anyway, I stop here. There can be many other points. Time is up. Is there any question or comment? Yes, Paul.
There's a few Hare Krishna. There's a few things I wanted to add to that. It's such an important topic, which to this kind of community who's trained properly, it seems like common sense. Like reading Srila Prabhupada's books, hearing from Srila Prabhupada, understanding the proper Siddhanta, proper tattvas. Seems like yeah, of course. But actually, we don't know how do you say, how misled people within our own movement are, and the we don't know how misled that people or the categories within our own movement are in the education within Srila Prabhupada's books.
Mm.
And they were making the point how they don't advertise Srila Prabhupada's books, or they may have Srila Prabhupada's books, but they mainly emphasize on their own books and stuff like that. I was a part of one center where they're all about their own books and things like that. And they used to have so many people come to their Thursday night kirtan and Tuesday night kirtan and stuff like that. And they used to have hundreds of Westerners come. It was like amazing, kirtan and all dancing. But because they're not trained into the Prabhupada's books, they don't understand how it's not proper when it's like when men and women, so close,
Yeah.
they're dancing so close together and all these things. They're like, oh, but he criticizes that, whatever, so why does he have to mix and stuff like that? They say things like that. But this center also has a Bhagavad Gita class, and they say that Bhagavad Gita is too heavy, that it's more better to preach from some other Bhagavad Gita, and that Bhagavad Gita there might be some Mayavad, commentary, and we have to judge, some activity by the results it produces.
Yeah.
And the result of such preaching.
Yeah, misquoting the verse all the time. These kind of people, yeah.
Yes. And the result of such preaching is that they have so many misconceptions, and it's even harder to preach about pure devotional service to such people rather than to preach to somebody who has no idea of Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, that's practically we see is happening. There's so many of them are misled, and there's so much. And then this all these so-called kirtan melas become completely music entertainment. Not really the holy name is important there. How many new melodies you know, how many instruments are played, how nicely they set up the sound. All these things are becomes more important than the holy name itself. And we see this is happening. And His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, several classes he spoke about this Kirtan Mela, how without Shravanam, just Kirtanam is completely bogus. And then after that, now they, in Mayapur itself, they started some Shravana Mela also. Something they started, but I don't think they are continuing, just because of hearing. I think they stopped 1 or 2 years they did, then they stop, I think. Because people are not interested, because you're not really speaking to them. You're performing some entertainment, then people come for entertainment and they go. Of course, there are many, good devotees who are really want to sing and, also they take part in that. But still, without Shravanam, just, the Kirtanam completely diverts them. And many other things like that. Without proper hearing, then they engage in social welfare activity and so many different things. Okay, thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Oh, you know something? Anyway, that doesn't work.